Jennifer Lawrence and Robert Pattinson pair up in this latest film, but is it worth your time? Hello and welcome to Cinema, where we focus on a film. I'm Josh, this is Simply Cinema. Let me know down in the comments below what you thought of Die My Love. Have you seen it, or are you checking this out, going to see if it's worth your time? And we're going in spoiler-free, so taking into what we're going about with this film, following about this venture with the chemistry between Robert Pattinson and Jennifer Lawrence, who get in this relationship, and we're following about their chemistry. What we're seeing on screen is exploited in a well-mannered way, and what this film tackles is just a plethora of genres, some within the thriller genre, some within the romance, and some that's just intermixed within something that I didn't expect. Very raw and clean cut, very exploitive with its themes, that is very compelling and interesting, following along the way. And there are certain moments where it starts to escalate, crescendo with all of this moments of intensity, moments where you're not knowing if something's going to explode in an interesting way, where Jennifer Lawrence is just suffering from the fear of abandonment, suffering from things that you see uncover from her past traumas in the way she's having trouble attaching to her new husband. And where we're following along with that, you're mostly seeing these two going about along the lines, but also exploiting the ideas and themes of motherhood by Jennifer Lawrence is purposely building up the tension to create a sense and ambiance of anxiety within the audience that becomes very interesting along the way. What we have to uncover about the characters, the new types of environments, jumping day by day, and introducing new characters along the way that don't necessarily have a lot of foot in the game, but are still doing something to build out the background scenery and also bring in the anxiety for Jennifer Lawrence's character, what we're seeing her go through. Jennifer Lawrence is great at what she's exploiting throughout her emotions, and Robert Pattinson is a little bit in the background in one sense, even though he's sort of the side supporting role. We're mostly getting what we're falling about with the sense of motherhood, but also the newlyweds that we're going about and becoming an interesting film just because of how raw cut it is, but still being able to dive into just an interesting environment that creates this all sorts of feelings within you, and some of it could be bad, some of it could be good just because of the atmosphere you're setting yourself into. But overall, it's an interesting one that is very much to the point, coming out with weird feelings. And taking it into the positive, there's just something about this film that I really like. The naturalistic tone, the performances are great, the direction has itself pretty grounded within where we're falling about. Tracking along with Mubi as one of the producers, the studios creating this film, they're generally known to be naturalistic and of this style, and falling about along the day-by-day circumstances becomes interesting, especially with the escalation of certain moments. The buildup of the anxiety is something that does exploit itself really well, and I do enjoy the themes and the psychological exploration of the fear of abandonment and the trouble to attach to different people is done really well within this film. But taking it into negatives, there are some things about this film that will just not click with the right audience. The way we're sort of making it very unique, very distinct. You can't narrow it down to one specific genre that this is expressing as a whole, because you're getting bits of romance, bits of thrills, bits of everything that's falling about, which can make it very confusing. And adding on the naturalistic feel, there's just a lot of weird tempo changes coming about along the way, which also, speaking of the escalation of anxiety, there's certain moments where it builds that up, but then it drops down and doesn't give you a strong payoff to what you're leading onto of what it felt like it was leading to something big, and leading on to the ending, while it was pretty strong in what it delivered, it wasn't offering anything new that we hadn't seen before, so it can feel a tad repetitive going about along the way, and Robert Pattinson being a little bit more in the background, feeling like he could have had a little bit more parts to add into the mix to coincide with Jennifer Lawrence a little bit more, does make it feel a little lackluster in certain moments. So that's just my personal review for Time I Love, which I have to rate a simply 6 out of 10. Let me know down in the comments below what you thought of Time I Love. Was it good? Was it bad? Or somewhere right in the middle? Or if you're going to see this review now that you've seen it and not, make sure to like this video if you enjoy it. Subscribe if you haven't already to join in film culture community where we talk about the love of cinema as a whole. So let's just all make sure to do yourself a favor and go watch a movie.